Oh,
Do you want me to let everyone in, Cindy?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you want me to go ahead and let people in?
Yeah, go ahead, let people in. We are going to go dark, but I will begin speaking.
Fabulous.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. For today's OmDrive webinar, we have Michael Wright here to present helping senior clients understand their supportive housing options. If you have a question for Michael, we will open up the floor, so please raise your hand to ask your questions. And just a reminder, we have some great webinars coming up, including language skills with Michael Appleton, on-camera performance and script writing, and how to own more real estate as a realtor. Today's session is being recorded, and it, along with many past webinars, will be found in the video training bank through the members area tab in Matrix. And with that, when you're ready, Michael, please go right ahead.
Okay, well, it's great to be here, and I haven't done a video session in a long time, so let's hope I can figure out how to use all the controls and keep it flowing nicely. Just some housekeeping things. You know, there is some challenges being a presenter on Zoom is you can't see the participants, so you can't grasp if people are understanding concept or they need more explanation or any questions. So what I've done is I've broken this up into the course into modules. So after each module, I'll take questions, whether you put them in the chat or you just yell out my name and say, "Hey, Mike, what's going on here?" Obviously, the course is slotted for 2 hours. This is brand new. This course I've done here, so it might be finished early or it might be finished in 2 hours. I'm not sure, but no one ever minds when I finish early. And one thing I hate is when I'm presenting in person, my slides I usually just have cue notes on them just for me to as talking points. In this section here we had a lot of content that had a lot of detail in it, so the slides are a little busier than I like. But I also wanted to have, if anyone wants the slides, they can contact me and I'll give them to you, so you can use them to pass on to your client. So again, they're a little busier than normal. So let's get started. Okay. Let's get started. And okay. So why did I put this information session together? Well, I'm a realtor just like you. I don't get paid to do sessions. I don't think any of you guys are going to refer me your older clients to handle, but what really motivated it, I was at a Christmas party just before, back in November, and it was a lot of my high school buddies and their families, and there was about 40 people there. And as I wandered around the conversation, and most people know that I do a lot of work in seniors housing in different capacities. You know, the conversations would go, you know, and someone would say, if I have trouble with stairs, I'll just put a chairlift in. And another one says, oh, I hear there's huge waiting lists at retirement homes. My classic one I get all the time is, my mom is 90. She still lives in her own home, like that's some sort of badge of honor that I should be respecting. You know, other people said, oh, if I have trouble managing around the house, I'll just get people to come in. And not that any realtors ever heard this one before. The only way I'm leaving this house is in a box. So again, with all that information, I thought I'd put together a session on what are the options as people age, and these are for more seniors. Okay, so is it worth learning about seniors? Well, the stats will tell you that 53% of the people over 21 are in that 55 plus category at Halton. Another stat that's amazing is 1 in 4 employees are a caregiver to an aging family member, which not only takes their time away, but it costs companies billions of dollars in lost revenue due to the fact from absenteeism and lack of focus. A simple number is, you know, on the dollars and cents side, retirement residents, there's about 1,170 suites in Oakville, and they turn over about $330 million in real estate as people sell their houses and move into retirement and long care. Okay. You know, I was talking to a bunch of younger agents in my office. Well, let's face it, everyone's younger in my office than me. But being around for 40 years, I think when I first started, I was 21. So I was the youngest person in the office, and now I have the badge of honor that I'm the oldest person in the office. But let's look at, a younger person was telling me, well, their client base was 26 to 35. Well, obviously, if that's their client base, that means they would have parents between 51 and 60 and grandparents between 76 and 85. So again, you would have a chance to deal with the grandparents because they're actually dealing with the seniors' housing issues. But a lot of times, if the parent is providing services or caregiving to that aging parent, it's a great opportunity to step in and share your knowledge on that seniors housing sector. So again, there's opportunities all the way through. So the population demographics tells you it's a great place to be. Client focus tells you it's a great place to be. So let's see if we can learn a few things to help our clients. So today I've broken it down into modules. We'll look at home safety, home care, long-term care, retirement residence, helping a client make a housing decision, and networking opportunities. The first one we're going to do is home safety. I'll tell you, these stats when I first started into this sector are just amazing, and they're ever increasing. Obviously, falls are the leading cause of injury in older Canadians. 85% of the injuries are related to, and hospitalizations are related to falls. 1 in 3 seniors 65 plus will have at least one fall a year. Every 13 seconds, an older adult is treated in an emergency room for a fall. Every 20 minutes, an older adult dies from a fall. Falls are the leading cause of death from injury among the 65 plus. So again, home safety is key, and especially when our clients are saying, well, I want to stay in my home a little longer, I don't want to move. We could offer them that assistance by suggesting how can we make their homes a little safer. So what are the common causes of falls for seniors? Environmental hazards are the number one, obviously tripping over obstacles, slippy floors, poor lighting, lack of handrails. Muscle weakness and balance issues. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that too. So a lot of the muscle weakness is created is that as we are staying in that family home, a lot of times we're just sitting and doing nothing. So again, that adds to our muscle weakness. Vision problems, an impact of aging. And a big one is that we see is the medication side effects. Is I've actually personally experienced, I had an operation, I had a knee replacement last year, and taking some of those medications really impaired my ability to maneuver myself around. When we talk about falls, and people say, well, someone fell and broke their hip. Well, there's only 4 outcomes when someone falls and breaks a hip. Total recovery. But again, there's loss of independence, is that a large percent of those people, up to 75% of those people never regain their independence they had pre-fracture. Ongoing complications, the fact is that you're laid up for months with a broken hip, is that you have further muscle loss. You can suffer from bed sores, pneumonia, and other things. And death is that even 10 years post-fracture, there's up to 33% of dying from complications of that. So again, home safety becomes paramount. I get this all the time. It's always the stairs. Well, I'll fix the stairs. And as realtors, you probably had a million clients say, gee, I'm going to get a bungalow because there's no stairs, because that's what I need to be safe. Well, it's true and not true. I was in a house in East Oakville, and it was an estate sale, and I saw the stair assist there. And then as I walked around the house, it had to be one of the most unsafe houses I've ever seen for a senior, with poor lighting, throw rugs everywhere. The bathroom wasn't modified. So again, it's not just the stairs. And we look at, where do falls happen? We always think, again, one of the ones we talk about is the stairs, but only 11% of the falls are on the stairs. The biggest one is 43% is walking on surfaces other than ice or snow, which is all internal. And 80% of that is slips and falls in the bathroom. So how can we help? I've used this guide for probably 30 years. I think it's about 30 years old. It could use some updating. If any of you have never been on the CMHC website, they have so many things that, so many publications, especially for seniors, that can help you sort of position yourself as that resource to your senior clients. This one's called Maintaining Independence Through Home Habitations. They have one on building ramps. They have one on putting elevators in your home. They have all sorts of information, and these can be printed out and given to your client, emailed to your client. But this is a step-by-step process on making the home a little safer. And again, so when the client says to you, I want to live here a little longer, and they're getting elderly, you can have something to communicate with them instead of just hanging up the phone and saying, oh, okay, well, we'll see you when you fall, or whatever it is. That we can take the client step by step through a process to make sure that's a safe environment. It has a twofold process. Is it helps the client live a safe life, but it also, again, cements you in that position as the go-to realtor, the person that's there to help, which puts you not only in light with the older client, but many times you're dealing with the family members. Again, a point of differentiation between you and the 85,000 other realtors in Ontario. Again, that you have some sort of specialized skill and knowledge. And again, a great book. Some of the outcomes you'll probably see, and you go through the checklist, it's not just the stairs, it's upgraded lighting, or especially around the stairs, grab bars, the grab bars in the bathroom, easy to use door and faucet levers. Many of you will go into a home and you'll see that it's all twist faucets. Anyone suffering from arthritis will know that someone cannot use twist faucets when they're suffering from severe arthritis in their hands. They have to use a lever faucet. Even opening doors, someone with severe arthritis in their hands cannot manage opening a door that has a standard handle. You really need the lever ones. Raised toilet seat sounds very simple, but as we lose muscle capacity, getting down low to get on a toilet seat becomes a real challenge. Again, I did mention that I had a knee replacement, and I had to have that raised toilet seat just to until my knee recovered again, and it was really a lifesaver. And another one that you'll see your clients, and I highly recommend, is the walk-in shower. I know my mom lived on Marine Drive for years, and the ensuite bathroom was, we took out the tub and built a walk-in shower for her convenience. Other helpful safety hints that you can pass on to your clients. Exercise is probably the key one. Keeping busy, building muscle strength, balanced nutrition, a healthy diet. Many people, and if you're dealing with senior clients, they start to miss meals. Many of them are on their own and they don't feel like cooking on their own, so they eat less and less healthy meals. And again, they're reducing their strength and diminishing their muscle mass. Again, medication management is the key, and proper footwear, is, I know my mom was guilty of wearing those fluffy slippers all around the house, but they're not great. And she actually did take a fall and cut her eye for 20 stitches just because she slipped out of her slippers. So again, these are helpful hints to pass on to your clients. So our optimum housing goals. So each section is, we want to make sure that they're living areas for the client. It meets all their housing goals. So if we do home safety, if we go through the process of going through the whole house, looking for safety tips, helping them out with the lighting, helping them with the throw rubs and the grab bars, what is that going to do to their total housing situation? So obviously we're going to increase home safety, and we're going to help with activities of daily living. You'll hear that a lot. That's especially if you're working with retirement homes. They'll talk about activities of daily living, which are walking, feeding, dressing, grooming, toileting, bathing, and transferring. Transferring is getting up into bed, out of bed, transferring to the toilet, transferring to a walker, transferring to a wheelchair. Again, so if we create a safe home environment, the grab bars, the toilet seats, maybe modifying the the kitchen to be more livable is that you're going to assist in helping the client with activities of daily living. What it doesn't help is the client's need for socialization and the increased opportunities to exercise. And those are, again, contributing factors that you really should be pointing out all the time, especially if you're talking to, the adult children who are looking after mom or advising mom. Is the keys here is socialization and exercise. Many times, you'll hear someone going, my mom lives alone, but she's still in the family home. And as I mentioned earlier, that's that badge of honor that mom is living alone by herself in the family home, which is probably a 2-story home that has a million dangers in it. So when she's doing that, she's in an unsafe environment. There's very little, opportunities for socialization. Especially during the winter, there's very few opportunities for exercise. And again, if it's an older house, it's really not designed for someone that needs help with activities of daily living. So again, this is only 2 of the marks that we can check off for home safety. As a realtor, we have to emphasize to our client that we're not trying to sell our houses, that we're trying to enhance their lifestyle. Lack of socialization can be a significant health risk. It is linked to various things from depression, poor sleep quality, impaired cognitive function, accelerated decline, high blood pressure, heart disease, and increased risk of premature death. In fact, many studies link it to this, has the same impact as dangers of smoking and obesity. So again, when someone says mom's living on her own or dad's on his own, you've got to say, we've got to increase the opportunity for socialization. One thing you could help is there's great opportunities out in the community, which a lot of seniors don't know about. Again, especially if they have, the isolation, is pointing out the fact there's many senior center locations in Oakville, Iroquois Ridge, QE, River Oaks, and Sir John Colborne. And they have a million programs that they offer, which gives the client an opportunity to go out and participate in anything from a pottery class to a talk on travel to an exercise program. Again, pointing this out, again, that the whole thing is cementing our relationship with not only the senior client, but their family, is pointing out that things that could assist them in their quality of life. In Milton, it's the same thing. At Burlington, I just did the snippets here. There's quite a few programs for seniors and resources out there that you could point it out to your client. And many times, I don't know about you, we're always looking for things to, you can only call your clients, every so often to let them know you're here. Having all these tidbits of information allows you to have a steady communication with your client. Did you know that there's a new program coming up at Colborne Launch? Did you know that there's a new exercise program at QE? Did you know that the Milton Community Center is starting a seniors drop-in? So you could send off something once a month to your client or their family members, telling them all the opportunities that are out there. Okay. Sorry about that. Other resources. We talk about falls. There's a million resources out there. The Canadian Falls Prevention. It's a whole website that talks about how to do fall interventions. Ontario Caregiving Organization has online courses. There's no cost to that. Again, these are things that you can pass on to your client. The Central Healthline offers exercise and fall prevention classes to seniors. A lot of them are online. They can do them online. Again, just keeping your client abreast of the opportunities out there to protect their safety and increase their socialization and their physical well-being. 2 great resources out there for safety is we have MedNation and we have Accessibilities. Accessibility's been around for probably 40 years on Bronte Road, and I was talking to Amir at MedNation. They're down in Bronte, just across the street from the Legion. Both of them have a wide range of accessories to help seniors living. Not only do they have the traditional wheelchairs and walkers, grab bars, but they have things that can really assist the client, from utensils that will help them. There's things that can help seniors put their socks on. So again, if you were looking at to build a resource, is dropping by either one of those and learning a little bit more of what's available. A lot of things are government funded, or government wheelchairs are partially government funded, and you can learn about all the funding and pass that on to your client. Let's talk a bit about home care. Anyways, actually, before I have that, any questions on the home safety front? No questions. It's very quiet out there. Very, very quiet. Oh, in the chat, we have one. Okay, just again, a reminder that this is recorded and the slides will be available to you. So no need to take notes. I hear this countless times. Families say, all my parents need is just a little help around the house and they'll be fine. Many times that is, maybe they just need a little help with things around the house. But many times it's just a Band-Aid for a serious situation. And it's the unrealistic expectations around home care, and you read about it all the time. I think I have a note here. They need 6,300 personal support workers to meet the demand in the next 2 years. So a lot of those home care services that we think are available are no longer available just to staffing shortages. But what is home care? It's a wide range of services. Obviously, we have nursing, anywhere from wound care to pain management to symptom management, personal care, which is, you hear again about the PSW, the personal support worker. They help with activities of daily living, dressing, grooming, bathing, going to the washroom, light household duties. There's also occupational therapists that can come in and help out, especially when people are recovering from injuries or surgery. Speech therapy for languages. We always hear about speech therapy. It's not just for languages. It's a lot of time their focus is on swallowing and feeding problems. And social work, managing of conflicts and other difficulties. Who benefits from home care? Other people recovering from injuries, car accidents, falls, sports injury, recovering from surgery, anything from a knee replacement to a heart transplant. A lot of the recovery is done at home now. The hospitals try to get people out as much as possible, so people are going to need some home care. Short-term illnesses, recovering from maybe pneumonia, long COVID, cancer treatment. Unfortunately, a good friend of mine has just gone through radiation, and they need a lot of extra care just because it has just knocked them on their feet, and they can't do a lot of the things that they would like to do. And then we have long-term conditions, obviously dementia, severe arthritis, diabetes management, cancer, Parkinson's, ALS. Again, all of these four will need some sort of home care to help in their recovery. Home care, part of it is publicly funded. To access home care, all you need is a valid health card, and you have to go through an assessment through the Home and Community Care Support Services. Many of you that have dealt in the senior sector will remember you used to have to go through the LHIN, the Local Health Integration Network. And before that, it used to be the Community Care Access Center. I think once every 10 years, they just changed the name. But right now, it is the gatekeeper for all services, Home and Community Care Support Services. You can supplement publicly funded home care with private care options. And obviously, those are paid for. But the Home and Community Care Support Services really controls access to all the following here. So not only do they gain access to the home care, rapid response nurses, telehome care, family managed health care, it's also palliative care, medically assisted dying, long-term care, community care, child and youth services, information referrals, and supportive living. This is the access point for everything that the governments have Ontario offers. So how does it work? Anyone can make a referral. If you go onto their website, you can fill out the paperwork. So you don't have to go to a doctor. You don't have to visit the hospital. If you're struggling, let's say with your mom that needs some assistance, is that you can fill out the paperwork and send it in, and a care coordinator will contact you. Again, a lot of people believe that it has to be doctor referred or hospital referred. That's not the case, is that anyone can make that referral. Then they will discuss your needs. They will put together a care plan based on assessment and eligibility. Its big star on that is what do you qualify for? And then you'll have a visit with the care provider, and then they will adjust that as they move on and on. Again, it is looks like a simple process, but there are some challenges. So based on your assessment, you could receive the following service that we discussed earlier. You can get nursing, personal support, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, medical supplies. As I said, is that if they believe that you need a walker or a wheelchair or some devices, many of that is partially covered by the government. If you're in a situation where you need to go to long-term care, they will handle that placement, social work, nutrition counseling. Again, this is key when you're talking to your clients and you know they're struggling or they need some help, is that it is a one-stop shop for that. Is there's one place you go and one set of applications you go through. Just quickly on that is home care, family managed, is the government also has a program where they will actually give you a lump sum of money per month and you manage your own home care. It was designed the fact that people with long-term illnesses or very complex care is that you could hire the staff and it would be the same people over and over every day. And so that the client would have consistency of care. So they would know that Mary comes on Monday, John comes on Wednesday, and Cynthia comes on Friday. So that's that. I currently have a friend of mine that does have ALS, and they're doing that family care program, which they thought at the beginning was a great idea. Unfortunately, staffing is so critical right now, and there's such a shortage. I think in the last 4 years, and I'm not even stretching the truth, they have probably contacted and gone through 300 PSW applications. People come and they will come for a day, they will not show up afterwards. They will come for, they will accept a job and never start. They will quit 2 days in. It is such a competitive market for PSWs, is that they will go where the money is. They will go, and no one's judging them on that. I would do it too. You know, they want to go with a place where there's benefits, there's a good salary, there's time off, there's assistance. So again, managing these programs on your own is really tough in this environment. Again, we'll talk about personal, this is the backbone of home care, is that PSW. They have many different responsibilities. Anyone out there who's dealt with a great personal support worker, they make people's lives unbelievably carefree because they can handle almost everything. You know, they're looking after the people and their families. They're doing personal care, bathing, dressing, undressing. They can plan and prepare light meals. They can change some dressing and some oral medication under supervision. They do light, they do light housekeeping, and many of them have such that care attitude or that drive to make sure that the person is happy. We'll even spend time talking with the clients. My other half, her mother doesn't even speak English. She's Italian descent, and the caregiver doesn't speak Italian, but they sit there and they converse in their own little way, which passes the time for them. They're well-trained PSWs. They have to go through a rigorous training program. It's anywhere from 6 months, depending on what school they go to, a year. They learn everything about the safety, the care planning, assisting families, assisting dying person, assisting medication. Again, how to deal with people with cognitive and mental health issues. Again, they're not just it's back to the years ago, it was just person, a PSW was just a person that liked helping people. Now they're well trained. Many of them are coming from countries where they used to be nurses and some even doctors because of the fact that they can't transfer those licensing. You'll have many personal support workers that have a high degree of education and providing that assistance, but it is something that is desperately needed. The government just announced the need for 6,800 new personal support workers. They're offering to pay for their education up to $25,000. There's companies offer $5,400 placement incentives. Even long-term carers are paying up another $10,000 if you go to different locations. So again, anyone advising a younger person or someone that's looking for a career change and they love people and helping people, this is sort of the job path that is well rewarded and well needed. This is, the system design is perfect until it's not. I mean, the process of getting interviewed, process of understanding your needs with a proper assessment, the process of putting a care plan together and then monitoring that care plan, it is a good system. Right now, it's just a shortage of people to implement that system. And it's not even the frontline staff, it's managers, is dealing with all the crises that are out there. So a lot of home care services that were traditionally available are not available just because of staffing issues. Many services have been reduced or even eliminated. And that's not, in Timmins, or that's not just in Sudbury. That is in Oakville, that is in Burlington, that is in Milton. These services are cut back just to staffing. We see people that, they're scheduled for 45 minutes, but due to the PSW or the support worker having to rush and meet so many demands, that could be down to like 13, 14, 15 minutes that they try to squeeze in there before they go to their next client. For years now, a large percent of the services in Halton, even private companies and the government, they can't provide the services just because of a shortage of staff. So again, when someone says, "Oh, I'll just get some people in," it is really, really, really difficult. I'll give you an actual scenario. It's the wife, 85-year-old, totally immobile, in a wheelchair bound, but again, wants to stay in the family home. The husband, 86, suffering from severe heart condition. So this was an actual scenario here. So what happens is the care coordinator comes and assesses what the client needs. And I'm not sure how well you can see that on the slides, but on Monday, they'll have shower and dressing from 7:30 to 9:30. And then they'll have someone else that comes and does some light housekeeping from 10 till 12. And then from 12 to 3, some meal prep, some toilet work, socialization, and activity. You can see, though, that there's gaps where that client has no one there. And Tuesday, it's 8 to 10, this, again, shower dressing. But there is no lunchtime. It goes to Tuesday from 3 to 5:30. Again, it goes back to socialization, transfer, toilet transfer. And then Wednesday, again, there is no lunchtime. It's 8:30 in 1 hour. And then it goes to the evening of 3 to 5:30. Thursday, there's more care services in the Friday. But the big thing here is that you have a person that's totally immobile and a husband that can't provide care, and there's no weekend services available. That it's just a fact there is no staffing. So someone has to make up those hours. And so a look at it is that, there's Monday, there's care for 6 hours, Tuesday 4.5, Wednesday 4, Thursday 4.5, Friday 2.5, nothing on Saturday and Sunday. The husband is allotted 1 hour every morning for his care, so he gets 5 hours. So in a week, 24 hours in a day, there's 168 hours that have to be covered. And with the care, there is 128 hours shortfall. So again, that's that client that is in a wheelchair and is immobile. with all the government services available, there's still the family, or somebody has to make up 128 hours, whether that's family or whether that's trying to get outside help. The challenge here, and point this out to your clients again, you want them to be in a safe, secure environment, but you have to be realistic. That person that says, "Oh, I'll just pay for someone to come in, or I'll get a student to come in." Let's just look at the numbers here. That client has 128.4 hours that they have to make out. If a personal support worker, that's 25 hours, that's $3,200 a week times 52 weeks. That's $167,000 to make up that care. And they say, well, I'll get a student, or I'll just get someone to come in there. It's still $2,300 a week, $120,000 a year. Again, it's for most people that's unattainable. It's not something that's feasible. So when the client says, "Oh, I'll just get help in," take them through this scenario and looking, how is this going to work? There's 24 hours in a day. How are you going to manage that? And the even bigger challenge here is the fact that it's not consecutive hours, as you saw in that at the care guide there. It's bits and pieces. You have to fill in a half an hour here. You have to fill in 2 hours here. You have to fill in nights, and a lot of it is small gaps and evenings and weekends. And so you say, well, I'm going to have to hire some outside help. Remember the shortage. And I got to tell you, I live this on a daily basis with my other half, and she's looking after her family. I have other friends that are going through this. The help is not guaranteed to show up. It's not they're irresponsible, but there's just things that happen. And, and you don't know if the PSW doesn't show up. So what happens? You have mom, you think that the PSW is coming from 7 to get her dressed and cleaned up till 9. And no one calls if the PSW doesn't show up. So again, your mom, your dad, your friend, or whatever is going to be lying in bed, and no one there to help. So what this family did was each family member takes 4 hours a day, which is 20 hours a week. But again, when caregiving, that's 4 hours with their parents. They have to drive from Oakville and Mississauga to downtown Toronto. So it's an hour there, hour back. So that 4 hours with mom and dad is actually 6 hours total. And you can see that how that would impact work life, family life, social life. And this is constantly week in and week out. They were lucky that the house does have a basement apartment. So they have actually a person staying rent free. Plus they pay $600 a month to manage the evening care. And they have rotating caregivers that cover the rest, $2,000 a month. So still that to cover those things is $31,200 a year to that happen. Again, it's not including the hours that the family does and the stress involved with people not showing up or not coming at the right times. Again, it's a good system, but it's flawed now. So we get home care in. Let's look at the fact here is it optimizing our home, our goals here? Is it increasing our safety? Well, we haven't really looked at the safety issues yet. We're just getting home care in. Socialization, you saw in that care plan that the PSW was doing some socialization work with the client. They're not working with the husband. They're just working on the wife. And they divide that skill. So it's, I've seen where the PSW will wash the wife's dishes and not the husband's dishes or a family members, because their job is to look after that one person. Exercise, opportunities to exercise. Maybe if physio is part of the care plan, they'll get some extra exercise. But, the PSW might take them for a walk, but you're not increasing their opportunities to exercise, at home care, that they're actually staying at home. Obviously, the whole system is designed to help them with activities of daily living, is, feeding, dressing, grooming, toileting, bathing, and transferring. So what can we do is we got to, as realtors, is point out the reality of what home care is. There is government programs available. They do cover many things, but there is a lot of gaps in it. So if you have a client that's thinking of, many times you'll have a client that talk about mom's having trouble remembering things, and mom needs a little help. is paint the whole picture, sort of take it from A to Z, is that mom is going to need this, this, and this. And are you prepared to do these hours of covering where the government won't cover, or where the private pay, you can't afford to do the private pay? So again, is we got to look at optimizing those situations and pointing out the flaws in the system. Any questions on that? Anyone speak up? Anyone still awake out there? I feel like I'm just keep talking and talking and talking. Obviously no questions here. Can't see anything. So let's continue on. Now, if you learn, sorry about that. If you learn anything in this session, and the key thing to take away is understanding the difference between a retirement residence and long-term care. Whether I read it in a newspaper, whether I hear a politician, whether I hear a private citizen, is people are constantly mixing up the terms. They're constantly talking about one thing, and they're talking about a retirement residence as it was long-term care. They're talking about a long-term care, whether it was a retirement residence. Again, understanding that difference sheds so much light on the opportunities out there, because most clients are confused. They don't know the sector at all, and they'll be looking for you to provide that guidance. So long-term care, which, back in the old days, we'd call it a nursing home. It's based on a medical model. It is designed for people that need 24/7 help. Okay, that it is. It is the closest. It is really closer, more closer to a hospital than it is to someplace for retirement living. 2/3 of the residents use wheelchairs. If you ever go into long-term care, most people have some sort of assistance. 9 out of 10 have some sort of cognitive impairment. Most people go into long-term care because they're suffering from, dementia. And so mostly when you go into long-term care, most of the people you will see there have a mental, a cognitive impairment. I'm sure any of you that watch people age, there's sort of two ways that people age. Is unfortunately, they're physically okay, but their minds will start to diminish. Or I know in my family's cases, my mom was as sharp as a tack to the day she died, but her body gave out. She had COPD and other ailments. So again, those two factors is that in a long-term care, you're going to see people either cognitive or they've deteriorated so much on a physical side as they need 24/7 care. The cost is partially subsidized, and they're standardized fees. What you pay in Oakville is what you'll pay in Timmins, which you'll pay in Blind River or anywhere else. It's a standardized Ontario government fee, and it's based on there's different types of rooms, and we'll see that is there's the ward, there's a semi-private, and there is a private. Again, we go through the application process. This either happens at the hospital. Most of the times it happens at the hospital. You'll have a discharge planner that will contact the home and community care support, and they will give you an assessment to see if you're eligible to go into long-term care. It is a detailed assessment because it's most, as we talked about, it's either cognitive or it's physical. We have to assess those needs. You select 5 homes, and with expectations for immediate admissions due to a crisis. So it's I will tell you the scoring system on the next slide here. You have to be, once they call you, you have to accept within 24 hours, and you have to be in that long-term care within a week. And again, personal experience. We got my mom into an assisted living residence because she was discharged from the hospital, and we got her all set up, and we got the call that we had to accept the long-term care. We had to move my mom out of the assisted living and into long-term care right away. Again, because there's such a huge demand. If you refuse the offer, you can't make that offer. You are taken off the waiting list for 12 weeks, and you have to reapply again. It is, you know, it's just a demand situation. Again, there's 43,000 people currently on the waiting list for long-term care. And we talk about assessment. So they put them in, I think there's 6 categories I have here. So category 1, that's someone that needs immediate assistance to long term. They cannot have their needs met in the hospital or at home, is they have to be go into long-term care. That's a category 1. Category 2 is people who need to be reunified with their spouse or partner who are residing apart. Again, that means if Mrs. Smith is in the long-term care in Oakville, because that's where she could get in, and her husband, Mr. Smith, is in long-term care in Milton, they will do everything possible to get them together. But again, they have to qualify to be in long-term care. It's not Mr. Smith going to keep his wife company, is they both have to be at a level where they need that much care. Sort of 3A is people that maybe looking at a particular religion or ethnic origin. There's some specialized needs they're looking for, and they're in one long-term care and they're going to look for another one. Again, there's 3B, 4A, people have higher care needs, but they can be supported at home. It's 4B, people with care needs, but are currently managing home supports. And veterans, not many of our veterans left anymore, unfortunately, but they do have a priority. Going back, you are only going to get into long-term care if you are in category 1. That's just the truth right now. So people apply to it and they say, I'm on a waiting list, but unless you're in a crisis, you are not getting a bed in long-term care. There's just too much demand. You know, it's so again, it's prioritizing. I could have been on a waiting list as a category 4 for 10 years, but if I'm not in that category 1 stage, there's just no room right now, and it's got to be honest. So when people, again, if you're talking to clients, is long-term care, it is 24/7 nursing and care. It's people that are going there either have severe cognitive function, lack of function, or they're severely physically impaired. It's basically from the hospital to long-term care. Disregard the numbers you hear on the waiting list. The only people that are getting admitted are people that are in a serious situation. See on this graph here, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but the red one and the purple one, again, those are people going into long-term care from the hospital, and you can see their days are a lot less than the people that are getting transferred from home. So again, most people that are getting into long-term care are coming directly from a hospital, whether they've just been hospitalized because they can't manage anywhere else, or their physical condition is diminished so much that they have to be hospitalized. And there is people waiting in the hospital for long-term care beds. You know, we talk about hospitals being overcrowded. I've been in the hospital visiting friends, and I see it's an older person wandering around the hall who looks fairly healthy, and I will ask the nurse, so, you know, what's him? And obviously he's got dementia and he's just waiting for a long-term care bed, which unfortunately is taking up a lot of room in our hospitals, because obviously that person can't go home. There's no one that can look after them, or if they're severely ill or it's diminished capacity, there's no one there to help them out. So again, they'll be stuck in that hospital until that bed comes available. So you can see now that, you know, if I put my name in on a waiting list, it really is not going to be filled until it's, you know, I hit a critical capacity. So again, we mentioned that someone had just mentioned it's tough to even you know, it's so tough to get into long-term care, and they're struggling so much with staffing. You know, unfortunately, you heard over COVID is all the deaths in long-term care. A lot of that was due to the fact that they just couldn't get people in there to help. That they were so short-staffed, and they continue to be short-staffed. And hopefully, with, you know, we'll get to a point where we've made up we have the care that's available to people, so people can, live at home or go to a care facility. How much does it cost?
بيقول لك الليست عليها 43,000 واحد في الانتظار.
Okay, someone can mute their mic there, thanks. Okay, so what does it cost in long-term care? Long-term care basic, which is a ward, which is a 4-person. Most of the newer long-term cares don't have wards. They're either semi-private or private. But so the monthly rate is, your pay is $1,986.82. A semi-private room is $23.95, and the long-term care private is $28.38. That is what you pay. The government picks up the rest of the cost, which is 3 times as amount the cost to look after that person. So again, it's highly subsidized. If you cannot pay that $1,900 a month or that $2,300 a month, there's even more subsidies. You go through a means test. And again, if you need to be in long-term care and you qualify for long-term care, they will not admit you because you have no money. Again, they will, if you have CP, the Canada Pension, if you have old age security, they will just take whatever comes out of that. And let's say you only get $1,000 coming in, they will take X percentage of that to pay for your rate. Again, it's very small amount that you're covering in those costs. They're long-term care. They're very Spartan. It's not a place. It's not a luxury place. It is utilitarian. It provides a service. The picture on the left, that person's done a nice job the family's done a nice job in doing some decorating. You can see that semi-private room to the right, the 2 people there. The one on the left, again, is a ward. There's 4 people there. And there's also that picture of a family eating. Again, most of them, 2 of the people are residents there, and 2 of the people are family members helping out. A lot of time, families spend a lot of time in long-term care looking after their loved ones, because, just because they're in long-term care, I mean, it's the same problem, is that you have only so many hours in a day that you have to allocate resources. So mom is not getting looked after 24/7 because there will never be enough people to do that. It's just an impossibility. So a lot of families, myself included, would go to the long-term care and keep a loved one company or play games with them, or just make sure that they're okay. Especially ones that have severe physical problems, where they're bedridden at a lot of the time. Many of them are on palliative care, and that, it's just unfortunately a matter of time until they pass away. Again, high levels of care, government subsidized. You're only getting admitted if you're critical, and you will still be, if possible, spending a lot of time looking after your loved one. Excuse me. Just going to take a drink here. So retirement residence it's based on a social model. So residents live in their own suites. They have an eat-in dining area. They have programs and activities for socialization. They have exercise classes. They have outings. Retirement residents are designed for maximum socialization. And as we looked at it in the home care, is that people left alone, they deteriorate so rapidly. Again, that's why retirement residents are designed, is that people have the ability to socialize. Many times I have clients say, "Oh, my mom's not social. She wouldn't thrive in there." I could put you in touch with every retirement home manager out there, and every time a client says they're not social, by the time they've spent a week there, is they meet the people that they're sitting at their table with. They go try an exercise class. They go try, and maybe there's a gardening opportunity or whatever it is. They become a part of that social structure. It's independent lifestyle. If you're in a retirement residence, you can come and go as you please. If you have a car and you're still driving, you can go. You can go to Florida for 4 months if you want to. It's independent. You know, you're paying a fee every month, and you know you're getting your housekeeping, your meals, and you're getting your activities. So your lifestyle is independent. I mean, people, again, that misconception is, and if I hear them people using that term, they're going to the home, which is an awful term. You know, they're going to a different lifestyle. Is that they're going to a place where they have the opportunity to eat well, exercise, socialize. Most people that go to a retirement residence, you know, they start eating 3 meals a day. They gain weight, gain strength. They do some exercise. There's many times a real transformation in the person in the retirement residence. There is care available. We'll talk about that in a second, but many homes have the ability to increase your care as someone's health diminishes. It is private pay. You pay every month, depending on what services you get. You know, so it's in your monthly bill, part of it is a rent component and some of it is a service component. It's the rent component, you're governed by the Landlord Tenant Act, but because it is a rental building, and you're also governed by the Retirement Homes Regulatory Authority, which oversees the management of the 750 plus licensed retirement homes in Ontario. For years, up until 2011, there was no regulations in retirement homes. If I had 2 back bedrooms, I could put 2 people there and call it a retirement home. There was no regulation, so they established that in 2011. They have to go through an inspection process. They have to comply. There's actions they can take against the retirement residents if they don't follow the recommendations. You know, there's a complaint. You know, if you have a complaint about a retirement home, it's about the treatment of your loved one. They have a complaint line, and again, it's a lot better system than it was in looking after, you know, the needs and the safety of an older person. Retirement residence, there's different types. Again, understanding the difference between long-term care and retirement is key. And again, my only goal here is if you come away with that. There's independent living, there's assisted living, there's specialized assisted living, and there's respite care. Okay, different terms. So retirement residence is, you know, is designed again for maximum engagement, maximum socialization. Retirement residence can be condos, villas, apartments, townhouses. There's many different forms, and I'm just having a mental block on the one in Burlington. My clients just moved into, and they have bungalow townhouses that is part of the retirement residence. Again, all different, to meet everyone's different tastes and needs. Again, retirement residents offer that transition from, you know, being in your own home to still being independent, but you have the services you need to, you know, look after your, you know, activities of daily living. Assisted living, you'll hear that a lot. Assisted living is a component of a retirement residence. It's, you know, it's where the staff gives more support to the seniors to maintain their independence. So that could be help with eating, help with, you know, getting someone dressed in the morning, someone brushing their teeth, they're bathing, looking at helping with their mobility devices, getting into the wheelchair, getting out of it, medication monitoring. All those services are available so that person can stay in the retirement residence. Another thing to note, that government home care is available in the retirement residence. So if you've been assessed that you have 20 hours a week of home care, is that the home care and the PSW or the nurse will come in and look after you in the retirement home. Again, home services that are paid for by the government, they will come to your house, they'll come to your condo, they'll come to the retirement residence. It doesn't stop just because you're in a retirement residence. Assisted living, it's different components of a retirement residence. So an assistant, it could be a separate floor, is assisted living. It could be a separate wing in a building. It could actually be a separate building, that assisted living component. Many times, you'll have a designated floor for assisted living. A couple of reasons for that is that all the care and all the machinery needed to, if you have lifts, you have different things to help those clients, you have assistance in there for their meals. They want to keep that all centralized to help people out, and having it all there. And many times these assisted living floors or wings will be locked. You'll need access to get there, just because people suffering from dementia or cognitive impairment, you don't want them wandering. So there's a locked situation again, but it's still part of the retirement residence, is that when someone can, no longer manage with the basic services offered by the retirement home, they can add more and more services. So they theoretically never have to move. Specialized assisted living. Many retirement homes have a specialization. Can't talk today. So I used an example of like Sunrise Assisted Living. There's one at Trafalgar in Cornwall. There's one on the border of Burlington and on Lakeshore and Oakville. Obviously, one in Mississauga on Erin Mills Parkway. They've made their living dealing with dementia patients, is people that dementia. So their system is that each floor has a different level of care, with their fourth floor at a Sunrise is always a secure environment for people with severe dementia. The staff is specially trained. It's a locked unit, so they can't escape and they can't wander. Everything is geared to deal with people with those cognitive impairments. So again, when someone realizes that someone has been diagnosed with a dementia and it's progressive, so they might start off on one floor of an assisted living, and then when they need more care, they might move to a different floor. And again, when they need a high level of care, that they will go to, they could go to the highest level of care within it. Again, I'm using the example of Sunrise, but many retirement residents, will have a specialty of what they do. Here's some examples here. The one on the left is for Trafalgar Lodge. So what they do is they assess the client in several criteria. So a morning routine, a level 1 is just laying out their clothes and setting up the toiletries. And then a level 3 is the full assistance with all the tasks of the morning routine, from brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, helping with the toilet. Dining, level 1 is just a reminder to, it is dinner time, it is lunchtime. A level 3 is one-on-one assistance to eating. So again, that assisted living, you might not need every one of those, but it's a la carte. It is so mobility. So again, level 1 is a reminder to the residents to walk, and participate in activities. To a level 3 is you have dedicated support, helping someone get from point A to point B. When my mom went into a retirement residence, she could use her walker to walk to the dining room, but she got to the point with diminished health is that they would have to come and put her in a wheelchair and take her to the dining room. Again, that was just a graduated system. So within the retirement residence, I could upgrade those services if I have some sort of assisted living component. Accessibility, all the way to if I need a mechanical lift to get someone out of bed. Evening ritual, same thing. Might be as simple as a level 1 starting with turning down the bed and lay out evening clothes, to level 3 is full assistance, getting them out of their chair, cleaning them up, and putting them into the bed and make sure they're comfortable. Medication is a huge one to miss, people on their own, forgetting their medication, losing their medication, over prescribing themselves, so they can monitor. You can start off a reminder about medication to, someone coming in 4 times a day to give them their medication, bathing, personal care. So again, it's all designed so the senior can stay, he goes into the retirement residence and he can stay as long as possible. It becomes very expensive. Let's not be, when you need that full level of care, I'm just estimating on in my experience, if I went full level 3 of care, for each one of those categories, I would probably be close to $10,000 to $15,000 a month for that level of care. Again, people that can't afford it pay for it because the retirement residence is a lot nicer environment, unfortunately, than long-term care. So again, people that say, I've got the money, I can do it. I put my mom in a Sunrise assisted living. She's living on the 4th floor. She gets outstanding care. And she has the money to do that. So that becomes a personal choice. Respite, again, it's part of a retirement residence. And it's a great tool, and it's especially passing on to your clients this information. Is someone recovering from surgery. Again, I talked about my knee replacement. If I didn't have anyone at home to give me a hand, I needed a lot of assistance for the first couple of weeks. The hospital gave me a list of retirement residents that had respite care, so I could have went into the retirement residence and get the care I needed for that short term. Another big thing for retirement residents and respite care is family gets so burnt out from caregiving. We use that example of the 4 kids going downtown Toronto to look after their mom and dad. Well, at some point they need a break. Everyone needs a break. So you could put mom and dad into the retirement residence for a 1-month stay or a 2-month stay while the family regroups and recovers. Okay, caregiver burnout is a huge thing. In many cases, the caregiver will pass away before the person that they're caring for due to the stress. And it's unimaginable the stress that caregiving puts on not only the person providing caregiving, their family, and we talked about their work again. So giving that break, that caregiver rest. Respite care is usually a minimum stay is a month or a 2. But again, if your client is suffering from caregiving burnout from looking after mom or dad, or they want a holiday, or a client's going in for an operation, it's pointing out the fact that those services are available. I mean, it's especially if they're on their own. So many of our people at 65 plus are, due to death, a death or even late divorce, they're on their own. So they need that assistance. As we go, we hear the term palliative care. Palliative care focuses on easing pain and helping individuals go through a stressful situation. Palliative care doesn't mean they're dying, but they need that transition. It addresses symptoms of side effects of treatment, emotional challenges. Again, I talked about a close friend of mine going through 17 rounds of radiation. Again, you need to be put on a palliative care where they're looking after not only that cancer needs, but they're looking after the mental and physical needs that going forward too. So that setting, palliative care can be in the hospital, it can be in a retirement residence, it can be long-term care, it can be outpatient, it can be at home. Again, it's just focus on easing the pain and helping individuals who are living with, a long-term illness or a short-term life, but it doesn't have to be life-threatening. Hospice care. Hospice care is for individuals that have a terminal illness and they're not expected to recover. They're not recovering it. It really focuses on the client comfort and preparing the families. Eligibility, it is for people with terminal illnesses. Most of the time, the criteria for a hospice care is less than a month. I know my friends over here in Anderson House, it's usually 2 weeks is the criteria they have. So what is a hospice? It's just a loving, caring place where there's an individual room, there's a bed, it's a beautiful environment, and it's making those last days for that client and their families very, very relaxing. I'm not sure if many of you know Ian Anderson House. It's on Winston Churchill. But the lady that started it is that when back in the 90s, her husband passed away and there was no place for him to die with dignity. She just felt that it could have been better. So she went on a one-person crusade. And in 7 years, they bought the property on Winston Churchill. It's an old bungalow. If you haven't seen it, it's on a couple of acres, beautiful, backs onto the ravine. And they created that environment. Carpenter Hospice, again, I think I got some notes on that one. In North Holland, there isn't one, but the Smith Foundation has secured some land to build a hospice. They actually, United Church, one of the churches up there, donated the land. So that's and Mississauga, I can't remember the group there, that they're gonna have a hospice put together. So again, it's just very short term. A hospice by government regulations can't be more than 12 beds. So just understanding, so Carpenter Hospice is 11 beds. Again, the thing is with these, I thought I had a slide, but they run multi-million-dollar budgets to run these hospices, and they get very little government funding. I think Ian Anderson House gets one nurse paid for and one PSW paid for out of all the staffing there. So the rest is done by volunteers and fundraising and personal donations. So they all have charity events and donations, but they function just on the goodness of people like yourselves. I mean, I'm a member of the local Masonic Lodge, and we actually go over in the fall, twice in the fall, just to rake the leaves on the 2 acres to help them out. They have different parties and functions that to raise money. Anyone looking for a volunteer opportunity, you have to be a special person to do it, but they're always looking for volunteers to help out at both the Ian Anderson House and Carpenter Hospice. It's a Carpenter Hospice, actually. I helped negotiate the transaction of selling the St. Stephen's United Church, which was next door to the Carpenter Hospice. So I had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with them. That was really the Rotary Club and the United Church put that, it was their assistance that put that together. So again, when you hear about hospice, it's just a place for a very quiet and place to pass away. Cost of retirement home living. I always love this example. I was at a seminar, and the girl that was talking about retirement residence, her thing was you compare retirement residence to a cruise ship. I didn't think about it, but then, anyone been on cruise ships? You have a Carnival cruise ship, and you have something like the Viking Ocean cruises. If you're familiar with cruisings, one's a Chevrolet and one's a Rolls Royce of cruises. The difference is on the Carnival ships, you get 5,000 to 6,000 passengers with 1,100 crew. Viking cruises, you get 930 passengers, and almost more than half, the people looking after them are crew members. So again, the differences are rooms, the food quality, staff, amenities. Again, you can have a very basic retirement residence to the most opulent place that I've been in some places that are just stunning. What are their costs? Studios in this neighborhood run anywhere from $29.95 to $4,500. A studio could be 300 to 500 square feet, one bedroom. Again, 400 to 600 square feet, 2 bedrooms, a little larger. The idea is that retirement residences are not, the actual rooms are not big, because the idea is you want to maximize your socialization and your exercise. So basically the room is designed for you to lay your head. You're going, your lunch and your dinner, you're going out for, you're going to exercise class, you're going to, my mom always used to love going to the pub on every 4 to 6. They have actually a bar in the retirement residence that she was in, and they would go down in there, have a glass of wine, and the socialization. So again, a lot of people look at it, oh, those rooms are so small, I could never live in it. Well, you're supposed to just be staying in that and providing participating in all the activities. Each retirement home, and I recommend that if you have the chances, just to go visit different retirement homes. to get the feeling of it, so you can talk really, intelligently about it. Different. It's sort of the unique qualities, like Queens Avenue is a Levita home. Anyone that knows it, it's on the hill overlooking Oakville Place. They have independent living and assisted living and respite here, but it's an older building, and so it looks like a traditional apartment building. So, but they have underground parking, which a lot of retirement residents don't have parking, or very little parking. Not that a lot of residents drive, but more and more people are driving. The higher floors, I was there last week, and we were up on the 6th floor overlooking, because you're on the hill, you're overlooking, you can see the lake, and you can see Toronto. So, it's a great viewpoint. So again, it has a flavor all its own. It's not flashy at all. It's very clean, but again, it's a 30-year-old building that's been updated, but still it's older. Vistamere is owned by Fieldgate Homes. They have independent and respite. It's on Sharon Drive, just off Rebecca, just before Hopedale Mall. I mean, what's unique about that? It's in a quiet, cozy neighborhood. It's part of the residential fabric. I'm not sure if anyone's ever done work with Fieldgate Home. They're a big developer builder. They just remodeled and retrofitted it. I mean, it's really a cozy place now. It's a beautiful fireplace. Anyway, it's just a nice place. So it's got a flavor all its own. Trafalgar Lodge, which was just taken over by Cogir. They bought all the Rivera properties, or most of them. It's independent. It has assisted and respite. It's on Trafalgar Road, just going into downtown Oakville. I mean, it's an old concept one. It's all small studio apartments. Again, they have their assisted living is intermingled. They don't have a separate wing for it or a separate floor. They're all intermingled. I believe there's only less than 80 suites there. But it's really known. It's a small, but yeah, a lot of services, and it's on the affordability side. You start at a studio for $29.95 for people that are maybe on a less of a budget, and or just want something basic. The manager over there has been there for 5 years, and just a super guy. And it really, when you go on a tour with him, you get that sense of caring and wanting that. Sunrise Assisted Living, there's funny that they're all the same building. They all use the same floor plan. It's standardized throughout all the buildings they build. So if you go into one Sunrise, they all look the same. Though actually the one on Lakeshore, just going into Burlington, they use the same plan, but they scaled it down 3/4 size because to fit on the lot. But again, it is known for their ability to look after people with dementia and other cognitive problems. I mean, that's what they're known for. Amica Bronte. Amica Bronte is, it's more of Amica's it's more getting up to that Cadillac of retirement residences. It's on the higher floors at Amica Bronte. There's lake views and view of the river there. Again, it's more upscale. Amica, if you don't know, is owned by the Teachers Pension Fund. They're also building a new one, a new Amica right down on Lakeshore. Again, that's a little higher end, so you'd have nicer rooms, you'd have nicer amenities, you probably have different features. And I had the pleasure of dealing with Amica and their developers. I negotiated a property, a land lease in Aurora, and the United Church there, and the United Church is actually land leasing for the Amica project. So very professional organization, very well looked after. So again, as when we're looking at retirement homes, everyone has a unique feel, which is going to appeal for different people. So if you go and tour them, every retirement manager will even let you stay for lunch, and because they want, unfortunately, in retirement residences, there is a turnover. People need more care than they can provide, and they'll go on to long-term care. Unfortunately, people pass away. So it's your retirement homes can have averaging out maybe a 20% to 30% turnover a year. So again, they're constantly marketing in the community and letting everyone know they're there. So they always appreciate a realtor dropping by and saying hello because, again, they have to, a retirement home only is profitable when they're at 90% plus occupancy. So it's always constant to get a retirement home to get the people in there. So take the time to go visit. One of these pictures, just looking, this is Chartwell. This is up by Trafalgar and Dundas, the Chartwell there. Again, you can see that, it's not your grandmother's retirement home. Again, it's designed as that you're living outside your room, and these are the places that you can spend time in. These are Amica properties. These are in downtown Toronto. This is I took these photos from two others, the Balmoral and the other one there. This is they start off here at about $10,000 a month base, and they go up from there. But again, it's that Cadillac of it's the Rolls Royce of retirement residents. So again, if you have your wealthy clients selling their $5 million home in East Oakville, they can well afford to live in a lifestyle that they really enjoy. Excuse me. So if we're looking at our optimum situation here, so the retirement residents can provide safety, socialization, increase opportunities to exercise, and it's, on a pay option is that you can increase the services, so you can have the feeding, dressing, grooming, toileting, transferring. So again, it allows you to meet all that criteria for a safe and a quality place to live. So we look at it. So it's here we have a retirement residence. And again, you have to be ready to go to a retirement residence. You have to start needing some of those services, or you want that. It's still a needs-driven place. No one wakes up in the morning, most people, and say, I'm going to the retirement residence today, even though I'd love it because I've been to many of them and the food is outstanding, and someone making my bed in the morning is a nice thing. But you'll as realtors, you'll run into that resistance of leaving the family home. I don't want to leave the family home. And why when you think about it, it's providing all the things you need to have a successful last 5, 10, 15 years of your life. You have everything you need: safety, socialization, exercise, and everything else. Why wouldn't you look at that option? And some of the reasons is, number one is the fear of moving, lack of understanding of what a retirement residents are like. I put that picture there, and people mentally think that I'm going to the home and there's nothing happening and I'm just going to be locked away, and they're throwing away the key. They're putting me in the home, which is far from the truth. Past memories of, my mom took me to a long-term care to visit my grandmother, 60 years ago, and I still remember it. It was an awful place with people screaming, green walls, and it was awful. That memory stuck with me for a long time, and a lot of people have those same type of memories. The media does not help any. They always make a joke about, if you sell your home, you're giving up. Confusion between long-term care and retirement home, that is the biggest one. Understanding the differences, because people will think about the waiting list at long-term care. They'll think about the people dying in long-term care over COVID and all these things. So it's a lot of misinformation. Little word association, when someone thinks of moving, I mean, as realtors, we think of moving as a happy event and people moving on, but still, most of our clients think of moving as going to be a stressful experience. I've got a lot of work to do. And that is magnified by about 50 times when you're a senior. So there on the left is Mrs. Smith. She's lived in that house. She could have lived in that house for 30, 40, 50. We had a client that lived in the same house for 90 years. They was born there and eventually moved out there. And when she looks at the things of moving, even though She would love the safety, love the socialization, love the meals, love every aspect of retirement home living. She sits in that house and I'm not sure how well these pictures come out and online here, but what's it full with? It's full of stuff, and it's just they're paralyzed by even thinking about making a move. So what slows us from making a decision? Denial is the number one. Here's a question for everybody out there. How many people feel their age? How many people look in the mirror and they think they're younger than they are? You know? And it's all of us do it. All of us do it. Is that we all think that we're 10, 15, 20, some with people with big egos, 30 years younger than we are. But again, it's a proven phenomenon that does happen. So when someone goes into a retirement residence, and I've taken quite a few people on retirement residence tour, the first words out of the older person's mouth is, look at all the old people here. Because in their mind, they're not 85 years old, they're 65. Again, transitioning, bringing them back to reality is quite an art. There's been studies. This is just one study they did at Queen's University, but if you Google people thinking they're younger, it's a proven fact is that our minds do not keep up with our body. And again, in this study, they thought they were 20 years younger. Some people felt that they were 17 again. Again, to see yourselves, I'm not sure again how you can see how well you see these pictures, but there's an older gentleman looking in the mirror and he sees it when he was a vibrant fireman. You know, we have a lady looking out the window there, and she remembers when she was a vital member of society, she was a nurse. So our minds take us back to what we used to be again. So how can I move forward when I'm always in the past? How we see our relationships. On the left is what's reality, is the son is responsible for looking after his father. He may be doing caregiving, maybe looking after the house, doing all those things. But the father, in his mind, it's still a parent-son relationship. He feels that he's the guy in control. Again, it's tough for us to change those relationships. Other things that slows us down, and when you're dealing with older clients, this list of denial, lack of information, magnitude of the move, and fear is the things that you're going to have to overcome to move a client forward. And that's not just moving into a retirement residence. Maybe that's moving from the family home to a condominium, family moving to a bungalow. You're going to encounter the same thing. Denial, lack of information, magnitude of the move, and fear. Again, on the fear part is, society portrays selling the family home is this giving up independence. It's a weakness. How dare you sell your family home? You're giving up on life. Again, far from the truth. If you're going to help a senior move, or someone that's they have to be able to answer the one question, is they have to say, why do they want to leave? If that client doesn't know why they're making that move, they are not going to do anything, whether they're, again, moving into a bungalow, a condo, or a retirement residence. They have to say, understand why they're leaving. That client has to say, I'm moving because I need a little extra care. I'm going to enjoy them. I'm not eating well. I'm going to enjoy the meals. I need some company. So unless they can tell you why they're moving, most of the time they're just going to spin their wheels. And I guarantee you, everyone that's on this call has got an older client that phones up once a month or once every couple of months and says, I think I'm ready to go. I think I want a townhouse. And then the next month they go, I don't really need a townhouse. I want to go to a condo. And then they'll call up a couple months later and they go, I think I'm just going to stay at home. And as you're constantly touring them around looking at different products because they haven't answered that question. Why do I want to leave? Our minds, again, on that denial side, will think of many reasons. Many of my clients, will think of any reason to stay in their family home. They're going to make those excuses. I don't mind cleaning those 4 bedrooms. I have a pool with a large garden. I keep that for when the family comes over. I had a client live in the city. She had a stunning property backing onto Humber River with this gorgeous pool. It was tiered, it was fixed, it was gardened, it was manicured, it was stunning. And I says, oh man, what a great pool. She was like 85 years old. And she says, yeah, it's for when the grandkids, and the daughter was over, and then looks at the mother and says, what are you talking about? The grandkids are 45 and 47. Like, they're not coming over. But again, in her mind, she was reliving that past. Again, many things that will keep us in denial. it's tough for an older person to make a decision. Is that they have a constant, where do they get answers from? They have a constantly shrinking circle of influence, friends, aging professional network. You know, many of us made decisions talking to our people at our offices, you know, what kind of car to buy, where are you moving to, what are you doing when you retire to? When you retire, you lose those friendships. Your neighbors, you know, you've got your best friends that you've been neighbors for 20, 30, 40 years. They start moving away. So your circle of influence shrinks. Many members are, you know, member of clubs, whether it's the Masonic Lodge or it's the, you know, the church or the Rotarians. Again, as they age and they can't participate as much, is they lose that circle of influence. Retiring professional network. If I haven't moved in 30 years, I probably don't have a realtor. I have a relationship. He's probably retired long ago. Many times their financial professionals have retired. Their lawyers have retired. Again, so how can I make a decision when I don't have, where do I get my information from? And again, we've talked about it all this session is, as a realtor, you could be that conduit to providing great information to your client. The magnitude of the process. Mrs. Smith hasn't moved 20, 30, 40 years. Where do I start? I was asked to speak at a retirement home in Scarborough, and they had 4 clients there, 4 elderly ladies that were thinking of moving in, but they just couldn't make a decision. And they asked me to come and talk to them, and we talked away. And as the conversation progressed, is that the one lady, she admitted that her husband was a professional photographer who had passed away, and her house was full of prints, and photos, and everything. And she didn't know what to do with them. So again, we had to break that into manageable pieces, and then she moved it in. Another lady that was there, you know, her husband, her son was a doctor, and her wife, and his wife was a busy executive, and the daughter was another busy executive. And she just didn't want to bug them. They're so busy, they got busy lives. I don't want to bug them. So how could she start a move process when she had no one around her to give her help? So again, these are the situations you run into because they a long time, and it just becomes overwhelming for them. And again, as we all know, is that if you have so many unanswered questions, fear paralyzes them. How can they make a move forward when they don't have anyone to talk to? It's an overwhelming situation, and they're really in a state of denial about their current situation. So if you can alleviate all those by giving them good information and showing them how you can break it down into manageable pieces, you can move that client forward. How do you overcome fear? You got to make a plan. You know, it's overwhelming to me, but if you think about it, you make a retirement plan, you make an investment plan, you make a vacation plan. Some people even make, pre-do their funeral plans. But who has a plan for their housing situation moving forward? I mean, you'll find that, and you probably found in your real estate careers, is most people don't do anything, and then a crisis hits, then everyone's panicking what to do with mom, and there's no plan in place. We don't know where she wants to go, what do we do with this stuff, all these things, So if we can help our clients create a plan to move forward, they might not move, they might not move today, but they're going to move in 4 months, 6 months, a year, and we've created that written plan for them. Again, take the time to make the notes, write it out for your client. Makes a point of distinction for you is that if every other realtor comes in and says all they want to do is give a price on the house and say, okay, your house is worth $4.3 million, and I'm going to market it because I'm the greatest realtor that ever lived. Well, that's great, but you haven't overcome the denial, the lack of information, the magnitude of the process. So you got to do those steps before you expound the virtues of being a great realtor. And sometimes it's as simple as asking the right questions. Again, we talk about the client's perception of their home is usually what it was in the past. I love my home because it's close to the high school. Well, your kids are 40 years old. I like this home because the neighbor is so great. Well, most of the neighbors have moved away. Again, we have to bring the client into reality. What is that house like for them today? I'll just skip through a few things. So really, how do we bring the client back today? We just ask simple questions. We ask the client, and you ask these questions all the time, but again, I'm going to ask you to write it down. Ask the client what they like about their present home. That means they have to bring it from the past to what is it today? What do they like about it today? and you'll find that, well, what do they like about it? And they start to think about it. There's a lot of things they just, that they can't think of. Well, it's just there. It's my home. And then when we get them conversation, what do you dislike? They will start coming out. Well, it's a lot of work. The yard's a little big. The washer's in the basement. Oh, the stairs are beginning to bother me. So again, we have likes, dislikes. The key here, if a takeaway I'd suggest to everybody is ask them how many rooms they're currently using. And you do this exercise and just say, well, let's picture your day. So there's Mrs. Smith. She gets up. Where does she go? She goes to the bathroom, to the kitchen, makes her breakfast, sits and watch breakfast television or CP24, maybe gets up and walks around a little bit, sits down, goes back to the kitchen, goes back to the family room, maybe ventures outside, maybe not, and goes to bed. Out of that 3,000 square foot house she has, if you drew that in a circle, she was probably using 600 square feet of that house. Again, it brings it back to reality. She's not using the 12-person dining room. She's not using the living room that seats 20. She's using 3 rooms in that whole house. Again, it takes away, if we write this down, it takes away that objection. Oh, it's too small. Oh, how could I live in this environment? We get a lot of financial questions, especially around the retirement home sector, because when you start talking to an older client, that it's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 a month. A lot of panic comes in. They're huge numbers, and especially when Mr. Smith has worked all his life, and the biggest payment he ever had was his mortgage, which was $1,000 a month, and now you're asking him to about $5,000. So again, we do some simple exercises. It's a key exercise, whether you're moving someone into a condo or whether you're moving them into a retirement residence. How much does it cost to run your present home? So many people, they'll go, oh, the taxes are this, the heat is hydro. Houses depreciate. They have to be fixed. You got to look back. What did I spend in the last 3 years on repairs and maintenance? What am I going to have to spend in the next 3 years? Again, bringing it back into reality. How do I have to update it? How do I upgrade for safety? Suddenly that paid for house becomes very expensive. A lot of clients spend a lot of their retirement savings just keeping that house in livable condition. And again, that fear of my house is paid for, I live there for free. Suddenly in this example, it's costing them $2,000 a month. I've done this exercise where the house is costing $30,000, $35,000 for a paid for house. Again, bring the client back to reality. If you're working with someone moving into a retirement residence, 2 things you'll hear, and I worry about running out of money, but the big one is they want to leave an estate to their family. And if I was paying $5,000 a month, I'm going to run out of money. I know I'm going to run out of money if I make $6,000. Mentally, it just panic sets in about those 2 questions. I work with a lot of financial advisors that provide me very simple graphs and charts to help the client understand. In this scenario here, there we got Mr. Smith. He's 85 years old. He's worried about leaving an estate for his kid. Sells his house for $1.7 million. He nets out $1.5 million, and the retirement home costs $5,000 a month. Question: am I going to leave something for my kids, and can I afford to stay here? This is a simple example. I don't bring in savings. I don't bring anything. It's just living off the house. So actually, that scenario, or Mr. Smith is looking at bringing in extra help, which is going to be $43,000 or $65,000. But the thing I wanted to show is just the chart here. So in a visual exercise, he can say that if I'm spending $60,000 a year on my retirement home and I'm getting 4% net return, is that, and I guarantee you they'll look for it and they'll go 10 years out, because they all figure that, everyone figures that, the 85, I'm going to live to 95. I don't know, I just found that. So how much, they're going to have still going to have just under $1.4 million in the bank if they last another 10 years. Jokingly, you can say when they're 120, they're going to run out of money. But again, visually they can see, and I prepared this little chart for them. So again, they may be spending $60,000 a year for their retirement residence, but again, it's not impacting their estate as much as they think. Again, we look at physical well-being. We look at mental well-being. Again, this is answering the question, why do you want to go? Physically, I can't manage with my activities of daily living. The house, it really isn't a safe layout. There's no opportunities for socialization. There's no opportunities for mental stimulation. I ask my clients a simple question: how are you making out with housework, cooking, cleaning? I went to a friend of mine's house just over Christmas time, and his mom was the best baker in the world. They would always go over to the house and she'd have a ton of Christmas baking. We didn't have Christmas bacon this year when they went to his house. What was the problem? It's her back. She has a bad back, and she could no longer bend over to take things in and out of the oven. So she had to stop baking. Again, we wouldn't have noticed that unless it was Christmas time and there was no Christmas baking. So many kids or family members never notice that these things that are these situations that are deteriorating because they're not all there at the time. So we've seen can't lift the vacuum, can't carry the laundry downstairs, can't read the labels on cleaning products. We talked about that. Home safety is so important, but again, socialization is the key. We got to get our older adults mixing with other people, talking. So many older adults in this community, they sit in their house, and the only entertainment is when the kids come over, maybe on a Sunday, or they call once a week. It's not bad sometimes in the nicer months is where they can get out and maybe work in the garden a little bit or to go for a walk around the block. But in the wintertime, they are stuck in that house, and there's nothing to do. There's no, I can't walk around. Even if I was living in a condo, I could walk up and down the halls. I could walk in the underground parking. I could get some exercise. I could socialization. And my other half jokes with me. I live in a condo, and I'm the key. It's 4 floors, so I learn more about people in 4 floors than I care to imagine, because I have the ability to strike up a conversation. I watch the older people in my building. They congregate around the mail, the mail slots, and they start talking to each other. Again, that ability for socialization. So you've examined their current home, their finances, safety, socialization, activities of daily living. And this doesn't take a long time. It looks onerous and whatever, but you're asking just key questions and moving forward. And really, what can hold you back? You've answered all those questions. They should be move forward. What's the biggest thing that holds them back? And we all know the answer to this question is the stuff. If you don't have a way of getting rid of that stuff, they're not moving, because it is so overwhelming. I remember emptying my parents' house, and there was like 10 cases of mason jars in the basement. And I said, "Mom, you never canned anything in your lifetime?" She said, "Well, I was meant to." So we got stuff for everything. I have a friend of mine that has 5,000 hockey pucks. He's like 75 years old. He collected them all his life. What do we do with this stuff? And again, as a realtor, you have to have the solution to that. Dining rooms. There's no one buying dining rooms anymore, and the market for china plates and rural adult figurines is next to nil. So again, how do we transition those for the client? I do it. Anyways, there's great companies out there that will do all the downsizing. They will get rid of the stuff for you. If you're doing it on your own as a realtor, I just break it up into 4 categories: the stuff they're taking with them, family treasure stuff that they're going to give to their friends and their kids and their loved ones, consignment stuff, or the charity donation stuff. Most of it, unfortunately, is junk stuff. So again, what I've done is I've made it easy for my clients to make that decision. I've given them information, I've minimized the magnitude of the process, I've alleviated the fear, and then they could move forward. Business building opportunities. I'm a big one on the 3 R's. If you don't know the 3 R's, never get into any advertising or business building opportunity unless it answers the 3 R's. Can it help me recruit new clients, retain your existing clients, and increase your revenue? If it doesn't do that, I look at guys that, put their face in the bus shelters, is that recruiting my new clients, retaining my existing clients, increasing my revenue? You've got to answer those questions. Dealing with older clients, there's so many opportunities. So you're networking, and because finances becomes a huge part of a downsizing move, whether it's going to a condo or going to a retirement residence, or going to long-term care. Finances are top of mind, and obviously we're not financial advisors. So the opportunity to sit with the client's financial advisor and explain the housing situation, or going to your financial advisor, and say, hey, look, this is the situation. I have clients that have to know if they're going to run out of money, or what's the impact on their savings. And they will gladly produce any of those charts for you, because what happens if someone's moving into a retirement home, they're selling their $1.5 million house, and where's that money going? It has to be invested. So for a financial advisor, it's a great source of business to work with a realtor. Same on the accounting side. There's a lot of tax issues, especially if there's second homes involved, is working with the client's accountant and tell them how you handle things professionally, or dealing with your own accounting and show them how you can work together in the situations that you're going with. We're constantly, especially with social media, what do I post? I'm supposed to be on social media. I'm supposed to do podcasts. I'm supposed to do Facebook. I'm supposed to do Instagram. But again, we know the numbers are there, that people are need information. They need to know what the next step is. So posting articles about home safety, home care, retirement living, they're topical all the time. You'll not only capture the kids that have aging parents, but you'll catch the parents, and then you'll catch the grandparents, okay? You have three stopping points when you do that kind of advertising. Retaining your existing clients, I'm not sure why that W is there. But when you're phoning up your clients in your client list of 100 people, instead of phoning once a year and saying, hey, you're going to sell, or, I got the calendar I'm going to send you, is that you have the opportunity to communicate with them on a monthly basis, a 6-month basis. Hey, I was just at Amica's, the launch of Amica's new building. Oh, wow, is it ever stunning? They have this, this, and this. Or, you know what, I was just up at, Accessibilities on Bronte Road, and there's so many things that can make your life a lot easier. I know your grandparents were, struggling in their home. Let's go up there and look at what's available to them. Again, all these things is, if I'm top of mind with my existing clients, they're going to keep with me. And obviously, if I'm recruiting new clients and I'm retaining revenue, I'm keeping my existing clients, obviously, I'm going to increase my revenue. Again, the 3 retaining existing clients. Again, you want to be that relationship. You're going to want to be the agent, not one of these 85,000 people out there. You're an agent that knows about home care. You're the agent that knows about home safety. You're the agent that knows about retirement and home living. You're the agent that knows about long-term care. You're a valuable resource. When someone says, how much commission do you charge? Well, there's no debate on that. If for the last 2 years you've been helping that family through every situation imaginable, no one, if you're providing value, no one questions fees. Again, it's cementing those relationships, and again, adding new clients and referral sources. It's a great business building opportunity. And guess what? Oh, I'm done with 10 minutes to spare. Man, I talked a lot. Holy smokes. Okay, I just had a question just about clients that needing assistance with meals. I haven't really dealt with anyone. I know that I know the Meals on Wheels. I know that if you ever go up to Moe's Diner in the back, they're preparing the Meals on Wheels dinners, but I really don't know about the qualifications. But eating is critical for is that when people are on their own and they're aging, is that they just not have the ability to cook, or they just don't have the will to cook. And again, proper nutrition is paramount. And again, if we're dealing with people's families, they don't see this side of their mom and dad. You have to bring it to their attention, because a lot of the times, you visit mom once a week, once a month, or whatever, you don't see these declines in there. But anyways, that was the end of my happy slideshow. And I don't hear any questions. I don't see any questions. So I'm not sure if Cindy and Nadine are there, but I think we could sign off. And if you want the slides, I can send them to Cindy, or you can contact me. It's Michael at bhhsoakville.ca. It's Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Or give me a call. Wait, we got some chat questions here. Please send slides. Yeah. So Cindy, this is a recording. So Cindy's going to post the recording. I'm going to send the slides to Cindy, so you can actually just contact her to make sure that you get them. And I'm glad I can say it's that you guys found this helpful. And you know, if you have a pen handy, if you have any questions, you know, we're all in the same business, and I've been around a long time in different capacities, but you know, helping out fellow agents and working together for the betterment of our clients is so important. So if you wanted to take my number down, it's 416-820-0532. And so if you have a question, or maybe I can, I've experienced it before, feel free to give me a call and I can maybe point you in the right direction. And we got the chats going, so I am going to sign off here. And everyone have a great day, and hopefully we'll meet you out and do a deal together. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. I'm sure everybody found this very informative. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay, then take care.